Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at SUI, see what's going on, see if this is a sweet situation or if it's not so sweet. Hope you see what I did there. I tried really hard to give you some amazing puns. Let's go ahead and double check a few things first. Bitcoin at 88.5, expecting Bitcoin to continue to run towards its fair value gap liquidation range, essentially in the 91 to 92K area, which does bode positive for most altcoins. However, that's not a guarantee, of course. Bitcoin has shown a lot of selling pressure here, so if we can't maintain this 88K range, it may be a cause for a shift in mindset, I guess you could say. And when we look at altcoins, what we want to look at is we want to look at the local lows and the local highs and see how that compares with Bitcoin. Because a lot of times you'll see situations like this where the price action of Bitcoin is pulling back and the altcoins pulling back too, and depending on how far it pulls back determines a lot of how well the coin's doing. Okay, now good kind of idea here, or scenario here is 86,000 is like kind of local low for Bitcoin. We can see that the price action held there for quite a while, and if you look at just say a coin like Solana, for example, it's establishing lower highs so far at this point, which isn't a great sign, right? So generally speaking, you don't necessarily want to take a trade with a coin like that is essentially breaking its local range, and whereas Bitcoin hasn't even come close to testing its local range, right? You see the inverse pairing there, or the poor correlation. SUI has a similar structure, only difference is it bottomed out right here with a local low of 245, so that's likely the new bottom if Bitcoin can maintain its current price and go higher. A lot of this hinges on Bitcoin though, folks. You got to recognize that. So please understand that that's a very important factor when we look at the charts. We also want to recognize too the back-end data and kind of see if there's any incentive for either direction. When we look at the last 7 days, we can see 210 to 225 is that significant amount of liquidation on the downside. But from a macro perspective, majority of all liquidation has been swept. So the great news here is that the worst should be over for this coin, and the likelihood of further upside is greater, just based on that sentiment. So what we want to look at here next is liquidation delta. This is telling us we have way more people taking shorts than longs with this coin, which does make sense considering we've broken our local range. Now that we're under that 260 range, it's safe to presume the price will stay down. That's generally the concept. But once more, we retest that area, Bitcoin breaks 90,000, maybe a different story altogether. So let's take a look here at SUI's open interest. We can recognize that actually let's go ahead and make it a little more transparent. If you kind of exclude the local range, 290 is the highest amount of accumulation. So we've got people that are stuck in 290, 307, and 313 longs, and they are completely underwater right now. So what's going to happen when we get back up to those levels? We're going to see that be a resistance as an exit liquidation, or liquidity rather, comes into play. So in other words, a lot of people try to sell at break even when that happens if they have large positions like we see here, kind of implying that the likelihood of the price action going past 290 without resistance is low. So it's going to happen. So just know 290 is still very much a very real resistance for us. But immediately, 263, that was the previous low if you look at the larger time frame closures. Okay, so the best way to understand it here is that until we get back up over 260, there's a decent chance that we're going to be still in this range of 210 to 260. So just know that that's present. That's definitely a thing. If we look at the overall sentiment here on the daily, just like all other coins, we're truly bearish. We're still officially under the 200-day SMA, all other SMAs above the price. We can see that we are below 50 on the RSI, stochastic swinging down, MACD diverging. There's not a single thing on the daily time frame that looks good here. You got to also recognize that the SUI, for the most part, just like other coins, is underperforming on the daily. Okay, so you got to understand that this coin massively overextended, still pulling back to find its halfway point. So I'm not surprised by this. This is just kind of par for the course. Having said that, the 4-hour time frame, we're underneath all SMAs, under 50 on the RSI. MACD is trying to converge, but that's still a very false positive. Try not to attach yourself to that mindset there. If we take a look at the hourly, we can recognize the Ichimoku cloud is confirming that we're still way below. Okay, and look at this, the upper lead on the cloud is hanging out right there at 263. So that kind of reaffirms to me that 263 is that solid resistance, which we did see tested yesterday, by the way, and immediately rejected. Okay, so it's not to say we couldn't still come up and retest it. It's just the odds are lower of breaking through that the first time, which has already happened. Therefore, we retest. There's a decent chance we may break through it again. So just know we get closer to 263. That'd be a solid consideration for a take profit target on a long position if you're going to take one on this coin. I don't recommend it though. Everything is pointing down and there's no reason to take a long with confidence. Not to say you couldn't still take a long and find some benefit. We are technically establishing parallel lows and higher lows on the slightly larger time frames, like the 4-hour time frames, but it's still not enough for me to want to take a long position. So that's just me personally, but I'm always going to be a little more conservative and wait for better opportunities instead of forcing trades. So that's kind of where we're at. Hope that makes sense. I described that correctly. I'll have a playout chart available on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar. It does look a little something like this, where I just kind of give you insight on what I think is going to happen next with these coins. And if you want to join us over at Bitunix too, folks, link down below. Awesome deposit reward bonus up until March 14th. Check it out. Take advantage. There's no KYC or VPN for these guys. They're a phenomenal exchange. Thanks again for your time, folks. Have a good rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.